when I'm running, I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look at the enemy. Look in the mirror if he is no friend to me. It's not working out, maybe it's the chemistry.
What's up guys, welcome back to Fuzzy's Garage. Today I kind of want to do a video about 9blade turbos since they've been out for a couple of years now. The younger generation's kind of getting their hands on diesels. Maybe they already have the 9blades. I used to have one in the old Duramax. Well, it was a stainless diesel, so I think they call theirs a 5-blade or whatever, but it's a 9-blade turbo. It sounds like a damn Harrier taking off. But kind of video I've been wanting to make for a while. We didn't have too good of weather while I had the old Duramax before I got rid of her, but probably later in the video I can throw some clips in for you guys. But so 9blade turbos, they came out a couple years ago now to be the most whistly, loud, obnoxious turbo you could get for your diesels. They make them all the way like your first gen 12 valves, which that's not a first gen, but it's got 12 valve, all the way to your like brand new trucks. Mine was in a 2007 Silverado Duramax. It was the LMM, so it was the half-year Duramax, but I put it in there probably a little over 2 years ago now, and I was a little bit younger then. You know, I think I was somewhere around 22, 23, somewhere in there. At first, well, let's back that up a little bit. I put it in there because due to VGT turbos, the vanes were getting gunked up and they were starting to stick. So instead of getting stuck on the road, said we'll just buy a new turbo, because when they stick, you can take the turbo out, get it clean, but you're on a very short ticking clock still. The problem's going to come back pretty soon. You know, the turbo itself isn't worn out, but just something about the mechanism and how the blades actuate and whatnot. And even when you clean them, it's not going to be the same as a new turbo. But I was like, right when the 9blades came out, so I'd be like, get me one of them. At the time, there was a few companies that had them, pretty well known ones in the forums. You know, one starts with a D, one starts with an R. There was already quite a lot of failures on one of those brands. I don't want to get sued for defamation of branding or whatever, so we're just not going to name them. Also don't want to put down companies because they could fix the problem. They could have a great product again. But I started looking at stainless diesel. They had a great history in the diesel world of competing, innovating, and I didn't see any posts in the forums or anywhere of them blowing up like some of the other brands were in that time. And I believe they had a pretty good warranty on them. I don't remember quite what it was, but I know one of the other brands basically told you to kick rocks and eat it if their turbos blew up, which it happened quite often. So I went with them. Did the 5-blade and the 9-blade. It was 5-blade compressor and 9-blade upgrade for the turbine housing. So I did that. I ran that for a couple of years. It was absolutely obnoxious. My first startup, I thought the truck was running away because it was cold enough in the shop that it decided to high idle, and it was absurdly loud. So that happened. I had a little screw up. I screwed up the drain tube. It leaked out a little bit, but I ended up fixing that, and it was great for 2 years. But as I got older and really my frontal cortex started to develop, I had things shifting in my life, and You know, I didn't want to be the loudest and flashiest, which I say that, and I have this big, giant, obnoxious, beautiful thing, but you didn't hear it from blocks and blocks away sounding like a 747 about to take off, spooling up. Like, it was obnoxious. Whenever you're hooking up a trailer and it was doing its thing, it was quite ear piercing. If you left it running on a hot day, you know, you're just gonna leave your truck running, that way it stays nice and cool, and it would literally hurt your ears. So there's that. I mean, if you're young and you want to be loud and obnoxious, it's really one of the best ways you could really do. So I didn't have any problems with mine, just hate to say it. Anyway, I had to grab that Amazon package, so I paused the video, but we were somewhere along the lines of I didn't have any problems. It was extraordinary loud, ear piercing. Reliability standpoint, I never had a problem in the multiple years I towed. Not super heavy, not super often, but I'd say probably more than the normal than most people that have 2500 diesels. Towed with Cherokee over to the Badlands, Indiana multiple times. It had a 9blade whenever I went and bought the old square body all the way in central Ohio. That was, I don't know, probably every little bit of a 10, 11 hour day there and back. That thing was probably the heaviest thing I've towed with it, and it did fine. It was quite heavy. That thing probably weighed a little more than my trailer's probably rated for. I think it was right there on the limit. If I had to guess, I'm not sure how much that thing weighs, but I don't think it's the lightest thing in the world. Kind of just the LMM thing, you know, it absolutely drank fuel. Those things don't get very good mileage for whatever reason. But granted, mine was lifted on those wheels and tires exactly, actually. I think I was getting somewhere in the realm of 5 miles per gallon, whether I ran 70 or 80. It didn't really seem to matter, but turbo did great. The EGTs were in check. No problems with it, but you know, if you want to go get you a 9blade turbo, just some things to think about. You know, it is going to be obnoxious. You might not like it as much whenever you get older. I'm only 25 now, so, you know, I'm not old, but some things in my life definitely did change as I got older, and I didn't really want that. I went for this, I think it was like OEM Plus on their website or something. So it gained probably a couple pounds of boost, I believe. It was like two or three. It wasn't much. I didn't really notice any drastic seat dyno changes or anything. It kind of seemed about the same. My blades were sticking there for a while. I had the code for it whenever I bought that truck, so I probably was lacking on some spool up in performance for the entirety of that ownership of that truck before I changed that turbo. But it seemed like it maybe spooled up a little more. But I know there is some information out there that says otherwise. Could have just been from the OEM turbo vane sticking. It seemed that way, because I believe somewhere in the realm of 11 to 13 blades is the optimum for catching the air, and then maximum spoolage, I believe that's the information that's coming out now. But you know, you might not like it when you get older. That's something to think about, because that job it's not a very fun job. It's not super hard, just you're in really tight areas and you're working with a lot of exhaust bolts, so that's never fun. It's not fun at all. You gotta do some creative things. It's really best if you sit there and soak all those bolts for multiple days if you can. I had just a handheld, you know, little clicker propane torch, not propane, I had acetylene in it, but used that just to put some heat on the bolts. That really helped it out a lot. Nothing like an oxygen and acetylene big shop torch, but you know, sometimes just that little bit of heat gets things come out a little easier. Did that. I also did the 30-inch downpipe while I was in there. Since everything had to come out anyway, I figured might as well, because on those trucks it like clamps down really tight instead of just being a nice pipe all the way down. So that could have maybe helped. It definitely helped the airflow. There's no doubt about that. There's just physics there. But yeah, it's something to think about if you want to go that way. Definitely go on the forums, use the search bar in those, and look up different posts of reviews of them. Usually people go on there immediately to trash people if they have really bad customer service, not willing to stand behind their product, or if they're just blatantly junk and continuously blow up. You know, you don't want to do that job. I mean, I spent probably every little bit of 27 to 30 hours doing it. My first time doing it. Not an easy job. A lot of things can be incorrect if you don't do it right. Like if you don't get that oil drain correct, that could cost you a turbo, and if you don't notice it leaking oil, that could cost you an entire motor, and these motors are not cheap. I know the Duramaxes are like a $10,000 option new, and I don't know what they are if you order a brand new motor. It's probably more than that, I would imagine. Probably giving you a discount whenever you're buying an entire truck compared to just a motor. Or if you try to go the cheaper route and buy one off a marketplace, you're rolling the dice at that point. You know, you might get it cheaper, but you also might have a junk motor with a bent rod or a hole in the piston or a hole in the block which you could usually see a hole in the block pretty easily, but I've seen people do stupider things. But yeah, you'd probably be, I liked it back then. And at the end of my ownership, I thought it was very annoying. I didn't like it. Just as more and more time went on, I just hated that turbo. I mean, if that's what you want, and you want to be the loud guy and get everybody looking one way or another, good for you, perfect match. But if you're young and you're going to keep the truck for a while, I mean, you might be cool changing out the turbo if that's not what you like, or if you want to go even bigger. If you want more whistle, you could probably go with like an 11. I think factory blades are somewhere usually in the realm of like 14, 16. You could go with like 11 to 13 and you'd get more whistle. Probably a little bit of performance. Obviously, you go up in size, you're going to get more performance, but just my opinion, you know, your guys' opinion could be wildly different than mine, but I figured I did it, I bought it, I spent the money, I lived with it, I towed with it, drove it around town, you know, figured I'd put that information out there. Information is always great to have. But I personally, if I were to do it again, I wouldn't do that turbo. Nothing wrong with the liability or anything, like I said, but just, it got annoying. You know, you want to leave it running and hook up to a trailer, you don't want your ears to be pierced by that obnoxious high whistle noise. I kind of preferred like the Duramax hiss. This thing even kind of has that hiss to it. VGT truck, it's probably just in the tune, because I know you could just have the rumble tune, which it changed with the tunes as well. Obviously different tunes are going to have different vane operating percentages, so you might find the tune on your truck that's really not that bad. I also went with the OEM turbo, like I said, so I didn't even have to retune the truck. Save some money there when you're already spending a couple grand on a turbo regardless, and whatever parts you need. But something to think about. You know, when you're young, you just want the coolest thing out there, be different, and you know, I was that kid at that point. That's all I wanted. I really wanted I wanted that truck to kind of be like this truck, to be honest. I wanted the 4-link it. I wanted everything powder coated, which there was a decent amount of powder coat on that truck. Most of the stuff that it had on it when I bought it was failing, so I was redoing it. But it came the time when I needed to downsize the fleet here, and I wanted a new truck for nice and options and reliability reasons, and the truck got to go. But been there, I've done that. Wanted to put the information out there, maybe help you guys in your diesel endeavors and modification endeavors. But if you guys want to subscribe, like, comment, share, help a guy out, that's gonna conclude this video. Peace out.